I'm
Mhm.
speaking to a really nice couple about to move into a home, and they were initially looking for hard finish support only. We don't generally take on projects where it's just hard finish, and I will talk to designers till I'm blue in the face about the importance of selling product as well, by product furnishings with an S.
Yeah.
But that's not really what they were in the market for. But I liked them, and we were really having a great connection, great call. And one of my designers had already done more of a vetting phone call with them, so I knew that they were a possibility. So I brought up a pitch deck that I have about what does it feel like to work with impeccably designed homes. And I said, I know some of this is beyond what you're looking for because we're a full service interior design company. But let me just show you what the path looks like. And a lot of this would drop out for you because it sounds like you just want hard finish support for your extent, this big renovation that they wanted to do. Well, by the time we were done with me showing them what we did, the both of them said, you know what? We think we want you to do more. We think we want to do some whole home.
Wow.
We do it in phases. Can we do it, a few rooms at a time? I said, sure, absolutely.
You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to episode 172 of Design Curious Podcast. Today on the podcast, I have guest Donna Hoffman. She is a seasoned interior design business coach who successfully built her 7-figure luxury interior design firm despite launching during the 2008 Great Recession. Known in the industry as the Master of Words, Donna brings unmatched insights in branding, marketing, and sales strategy specifically tailored for design CEOs. Her coaching empowers clients to clarify their niche, to compellingly communicate their value with confidence, and to significantly elevate their revenue, often doubling and tripling their fees or surpassing previous income ceilings. Uniquely, Donna integrates a keen understanding of the creative brain, guiding highly sensitive entrepreneurs to identify routine and hidden business stressors that affect creative brains in particular, and to structure their businesses to support highest profitability and personal well-being. Her broader approach reframes sensitivity as a strategic asset, enabling design business owners to operate more profitably, make sharper decisions, and build businesses that are resilient and scalable. I loved talking with Donna. We had very much aligned thoughts on how designers should run their businesses. We also started our businesses around the same time. So it's fun to talk to someone who's in the same phase of life as me, as far as the business goes and coaching and all of that. So let's talk with Donna and hear what she has to say. Hi, Donna. Welcome to Design Curious Podcast. It's great to have you on today.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, I think we're very much aligned. Both of us have a passion for our industry and the designers working in it and their businesses. And so, first of all, let's get started. Who you are, how you got into this industry in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. So I got into the industry just in time for the 2008 crash.
Perfect.
So I've never known any. And just to make it really interesting, my life partner, my hubby, my best friend in the world, his industry was collapsing. And so he was imploding and going offshore. So just as I'm launching this business, mid-mortgage, 2 kids were saving for college, Steve's career starts taking a huge hit. So I knew I had to be successful, and I had to be successful really quickly. So I was the designer building out a business that today is a 7-figure business, but I was crying on the way to my appointments with my clients. I'd suck it up, be terrific in the meeting with my clients, get back in the car, and I'd sob because I didn't want to cry at the house. I didn't want to make Steve feel worse, and I didn't want our kids to know how much pressure I was under. So I tell you that not as a poor, poor, pitiful me. I'm grateful for what we were able to create and to do, but just making sure my ringer's off. How rude would that be? But to say that I didn't marry Rockefeller, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. And I was terrified as I was building this business. There was a moment, Rebecca, where I thought, one day we could lose our house. I wonder if we're going through the college money, we're dipping into the 401k. And I can tell you that as of the moment that we're taping this, we're hosting a stunning wedding for our daughter at the Ritz-Carlton in Philadelphia in just a few days. So all this to say that I dug us out of a hole with a design business.
Yeah.
Yes, to be able to monetize creativity. To everybody who's out there listening, there is a way to monetize creativity, but you have to be very strategic, very savvy about what you're doing with it. So we'll dig into all that today.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm sure.
Yeah. So when you started your business, you definitely couldn't do it as just a hobby or a jobby. It had to be profitable. How did you even learn how to start your business? Like, were you an entrepreneur before? Did you have a mentor or a coach?
Yeah. Oh, great questions. So I had already had a consulting business in a totally different world. I don't know if you've ever heard of TV shopping, but I was an on-air host in TV shopping for several years, left that and began to consult to teach other people how to do that. So I already knew how to run a consulting business. I already had become really good at sales because there's one thing you learn to do as a QVC show host is how to load your airtime, dollars per minute, and be very compelling, but in a covert way. So my knowledge and understanding of sales and marketing absolutely aided me. And I already had a business brain from having run another consulting business. And I had to be successful. I mean, it wasn't a question of if, it was I had to be. And so I just kept my head down through a horrible economy launch, and I just kept going, and I made it happen.
Mm-hmm. So you definitely came into it with high skills in sales and marketing. So what were some of the first steps you took towards that in your business?
Well, very early on, I realized that investing in the business was going to be important. A lot of designers enter this industry thinking, oh, this is a no-cost startup. It's not like starting a bakery, right, where I need to buy pots and pans and have a storefront. Well, savvy business people know that you have to invest in your business. And I saw the writing on the wall very quickly. I thought, man, I don't even know what I don't know. And yeah, there's a lot of free information out there, but I don't have time to sift through the good stuff and the garbage. So I invested in a coach pretty early on in my career. And ultimately, I'm so grateful for the business coaching that I've received, which is why I coach today. But ultimately, even the very best coaches failed me eventually because they didn't understand or they didn't address how a brain like yours, a brain like mine, a brain like everybody listening, the creative brain, how does that operate in business? And the routine stresses in business that would upset a civilian affect us differently, deeper. And so working with even the very best business coach ultimately started to frustrate me. However, I still to this day credit my early launching success with the work that I did with the coach. I so believe in coaching. And I don't say that because I coach because I know it moves the needle. And I know you know that too. And so do your listeners.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of those challenges that you're seeing then with the people that you're coaching as far as sales, marketing, even that mindset around sales? Because none of us get into interior design wanting to be a salesperson.
No, not a one. But here's, the big secret that nobody's talking about. You don't design for a living. You sell design for a living. You get to design while doing it. So I think some of the biggest misnomers are that designers think they'll hang a shingle and business will just sprout up around them. Designers think that by going to design events, they're going to get business. No. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see design entrepreneurs in their first 7-year trajectory and even in their 20-year, there are all these phases of trajectory in a design business. I was just speaking at the Interior Design Society's national conference, and I was addressing this room of 200 talented, savvy, smart business owners. And the heads were nodding when I talked about the difference between being Gina the generalist or Jerry the generalist versus niching and having a compelling, succinct point of difference.
Mm-hmm.
And it's incredible to me how resistant design CEOs are to that, because they think if I niche, I'm going to close myself off from business. But the way I like to teach niching, you niche and you diversify at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing to me that people in that early growth trajectory don't have that nailed. And I also have designers coming to me who've been in business 20 plus years, whose numbers, their earnings just aren't where they want them to be. And they are also in this rut of just being a generalist. You can't compete as a generalist, and you can't compete trying to be the lowest price. That's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
So I think those are two mistakes. Do you find the same thing?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Nobody wants to pigeonhole themselves into saying like, oh, I only do kitchens and baths or something like that. And think that nobody's ever going to think about them for some other type of project.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. But I imagine that what you would agree with is that when you do have a niche, that you can have such specific language that you can target someone much easier and get your message through the noise.
Yeah.
When you have a specific message to tell.
Do you want an example from a phone call I had this morning with a prospective client talking about niching and diversifying, being able to pivot? So part of our niching is that we specialize in whole home design, whole home new build, and extensive renovation. And there's more to the branding message than that, but that's just to give you a quick bullet point on that. So I'm speaking to a really nice couple about to move into a home. And they were initially looking for hard finish support only. We don't generally take on projects where it's just hard finish. And I will talk to designers till I'm blue in the face about the importance of selling product as well, by product furnishings with an S.
Yeah.
But that's not really what they were in the market for. But I liked them. And we were really having a great connection, great call. And one of my designers had already done more of a vetting phone call with them. So I knew that they were a possibility. So I brought up a pitch deck that I have about what does it feel like to work with impeccably designed homes. And I said, I know some of this is beyond what you're looking for because we're a full service interior design company. But let me just show you what the path looks like. And a lot of this would drop out for you because it sounds like you just want hard finish support for your extent, this big renovation that they wanted to do. Well, by the time we were done with me showing them what we did, the both of them said, you know what? We think we want you to do more. We think we want to do some whole home. Insert. We do it in phases. Can we do it, a few rooms at a time? I said, sure, absolutely. So the pivot for me, when I talk about specializing, we specialize in whole home. We're excellent at whole home, large scale renovation because our processes are that good. But you better believe we can take on a smaller project. Then I said to them, they said, are we too small a project? I said, no. I said, my criteria is your budget commensurate with your scope of work? Are you kind, ethical, fair, lovely people who I think we would enjoy working with? And they giggled a little bit and they said, you don't want a tough client. I said, I don't want a nut job. So at that point, I felt comfortable enough, with them to make the joke. So the pivot for us is, yes, we can do smaller projects as well, as long as it fits these criteria. Yeah. Now, that said, would I accept a project where somebody's just looking for a new sofa? No, because that's really not what our business foundation is set up to do. Mm-hmm. So pivoting might mean we specialize in this, but as you talk to a client, we also do, we also do couples design or whatever gajillion other subspecialties you want to have. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So basically taking every opportunity that you have with a prospective client and educating them to make sure that they're aware of all of your services and the benefit of utilizing all of those services, just like you did with the clients this morning.
Yes. Yeah. And you use the golden word, benefit. The word benefit that's a sales word. You have to speak to the benefit of what you do, the benefit of your services, the benefit of your work, what is the value to the client, the benefit to them in hiring you versus your competitor down the block. And you need to be really clear on what that is. And I hope everyone listening, I hope you have a pitch deck, the experience of working with ABC Designs, and go through it. Show them what the process looks like. Show them your 2D elevations. Show them your 3D elevations. Show them whatever bells and whistles. If you have line item budgets like we do, show them one so they can see, what does it feel like? What do they get working with you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what helped to turn this client from, yeah, we'll do soft finishes only, to, oh yeah, maybe we'll have you do a few finish out as well, a couple of spaces on the first floor. And to track back to this idea of niching and diversifying, yeah, my company does specialize in these big projects, 20,000 square foot residences, 14,000 square, big. But I love a small project because it's easier on my team. It's great as a piece of fill or a filler project, I should say, when we're in various stages and phases of some of the behemoth projects that we're working on. And I find them really gratifying because they finish a lot sooner. They don't take 2 years to finish.
Yeah.
So this idea of niching and diversifying, being ready to pivot, really important.
Great. Okay. I love that point. And that you suggest that everyone should have a pitch deck. Is that typically like a PowerPoint presentation or something that you're showing them on your computer during the consultation? Or
Yeah, great questions. So in terms of when you share it with your client or your prospective client, or as I sometimes call them, it's a client suspect, until they've proven themselves, right? We're not sure we take them on, right? Because not all clients are worth having. That might be another podcast episode. Who knows?
Yeah.
First, what's the pitch deck, and then when do you show it? So, what is the pitch deck? It's kind of like your highlight reel, but on paper. So it is PowerPoint. That's how we recommend our designers we coach, that we recommend they do it. It works really well because, you can embed video into a slide deck.
Yeah.
So for example, when we're showing in our slide deck, when we're showing what our design boards look like, we took some video just on an iPhone, panning down the conference room table of all of the, sample boards and all the yumminess. So they could say, yeah, you're going to have these gorgeous electronic assets to look at, but you also have these live samples. So you can put video in, which is great. And whatever you feel, the superstar moments that you bring as a design company, and I know you bring so many of them. I know listening to me, you might be thinking, oh, what do I do this special? You do more this special than you even realize. It's amazing to me how much untapped potential designers have as business owners looking at their businesses. So you're going to make that highlight reel for yourself. Just keep it on your desktop, put it on your laptop, put it on your iPad so that you can pull it out in the following ways. In our company, if somebody calls to talk to us about perhaps engaging us, I have one of my design team speak to them first, because if they're a non-viable client, as the design CEO, I really don't have the time to give to every marvelous person who wants to call our company. So if they pass the litmus test as, and yeah, we think there could be a fit here, then one of our design team will turn them over to me, and then we'll set up a Zoom. I think Zooms are a fantastic way to have a more personal, engaging experience with a prospective client. That said, Zoom can go on a little bit longer. So if it's a prospective client that you don't even know if they could be correct for you, I would take that as a phone call first. But if it's a great call, then to say, hey, so-and-so, you know what? Before I come out to your home and we look at XYZ together, or I look at your blueprints or whatever it is you're doing, I'd love to invite you to set up a Zoom call with your significant other and me, or your design partner, if you're designing with your mom, whatever, so that we can get a better sense of each other. And so I can answer more questions before you have a live session with me, since that is at fee. So one half of this couple has spoken to our team already, but they both came to speak to me for a Zoom. So it was during that Zoom I decided, would you like to know a little bit more about what the experience would feel like working with me? Great. I have a slide deck. Let me just pull this up for you. So I did it during this Zoom.
Okay.
However, there are times that I speak to people. It's a phone call. They're all in. They say, yeah, please, can we meet with you? How do we meet with you? And then when I'm meeting with them live, toward the end of the meeting, I preserve some time to say, listen, just want to give you a better idea of what it will feel like, what the experience will be like working with our company. And I'll pull out my iPad and I'll go through that pitch deck.
Yeah.
I will do it with builders that I'm meeting with. Yes, I'll do it with architects that I'm meeting with. Again, deciding during that cocktail or that coffee or that luncheon, is it appropriate for me to pull this out? If it's going to feel salesy, slimy with the architect or builder because the conversation isn't leading there, I won't do it, but I'll have it with me just in case.
Yeah.
So do those scenarios help you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's
Good.
very helpful. Yeah, I
Good.
love that. And definitely makes me think that we have a PDF or something that we send out to people, but having this as a pitch deck where you have slides and you can embed the video and like show you in action or different scenarios, like that's a great plus. I think it definitely brings it home for a lot of
Yeah.
prospective clients. So.
And you get to speak to it. You get to voice it. So you're directing their eye, take a look at this. This is what a 3D model is. Hit the video. We actually move you through the space. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
You can't get that from a PDF.
Right.
Or if you're talking them through a line item budget, as I was today, I can explain this is how our line item budgets function. This is why there are so many columns. This is why we always come out on budget at the end of the day. You wouldn't get that looking at a PDF. You just see a bunch of numbers as somebody watching it looking at it for the first time.
Yeah, really good. I want to go back to something that you referenced earlier. We brushed over, but it's when designers, they're starting out and they are selling their services, but they're also wrestling with their fees and telling.
Wait, the service fee or selling furnishings?
Their design fees, but it's what I was thinking that maybe you're referring to, but I'm sure it's both because there's two parts of that, right? You have to first sell your design fees and then you need to sell all of the furnishings to the client, which might be a big number as well.
Okay, this is meaty stuff. So let's talk about the design fee. Unless I'm mistaken, everyone who is in business as a for-profit business, unless you are a nonprofit business. And if you're a nonprofit business, I'm happy to tithe or do some sort of charitable contribution to you. But if you are not a nonprofit person, then you are a consumer, just as I am when I go out to a store or whatever. So this idea that designers have to keep dropping their fees, I know where it comes from. It comes from the fact that designers, by and large, are creatives. There's this gorgeous artistic soul, but it's a creative brain. And the creative brain comes with certain reactivity or sensitivity that I teach about. And that's what makes designers, our brains are a little different as a creative. Things that would bother a civilian bother us more. By civilian, I mean a non-creative. And I love civilians. I'm married to one, so I don't say this in an elevating way. Hey, look at us. But we function a little differently. So anything that would make a civilian a little nervous will make us really loopy until you know how to get your arms around that creative brain and use it to your advantage. Okay. So this idea that designers have to apologize for charging, bottom line is you know more than your client. And if you have a prospective client on the phone that's telling you, I could do my own furnishings, terrific. Let him go. Because guess what? A monkey could walk into a furniture store with a credit card and a well-meaning furniture store salesperson could furnish a monkey's home. But that's not what you do. It's not what I do. So if you're speaking to the right prospective client, you should not have any problem justifying the value of what you do. And when I say value, sometimes designers think I'm talking about the marked down sweater in, the basement of the department store. I don't mean value as in low cost, the value of what you do, the benefit to the consumer of what you do. So you have to be really clear on that. And I would love for you to know what your competitors are charging. And even if you're charging fixed fee, I'm the only coach in America who's not rah, fixed fee. I teach a hybrid. I think fixed fee has a lot of risk involved for designers, but hourly doesn't work either. So I teach a blended approach. But anyhow, so no matter how you charge, you have to have an hourly rate that you're basing your calculation on. So I'd love for you to know, what are my competitors? What are my colleagues charging? If you have any group that you're masterminding with, ask them. But if they're in different regions of the country, that won't help you. You really want to know what's happening in your region of the country. Yeah. And if you feel that you are below average, then I would like you to start raising that up. Now, is it comfortable to do a 40% jump in rate? No, that's going to make you uncomfortable. And I'll talk to you about why in a second. But first, to close this loop, I recommend that as you're raising your rate, do a 10% rate increase January 30th. Do a 15% rate increase March 1st. Pick a date and pick a percentage. Is it a 10, a 12, a 15, maybe 20, but maybe 15 is going to be the easiest thing for you to do. And maybe year over year, you want to keep looking at pulling that rate up to a point where you're going to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I said it's going to make you uncomfortable is that I have seen, hands down, time and time and time again, with the savvy, talented, brilliant designers that I get to coach in their businesses. I know, sure as rain, as I grow a designer in her business, I'm also going to ignite a little bit of nervousness, a little apprehension, a little anxiety, which is why I think mindset support is so important for people like us, and which is why I included in a coaching program that I offer, because I know every time I have a designer raise their rates, get more powerful in their niching language, define a niche, start reaching out to bigger architects, better builders, or all of the other networking that we need to do, I'm going to elicit a little bit of that, little bit of knee knocking. So raising rates gets designers nervous. And furniture, you should be selling furniture. You should be selling it at MSRP, period. You're not Bob's Discount Furniture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not who you are.
Yeah. That's great. I wholeheartedly agree with all of what you just said. So,
hallelujah. Give me an amen.
So I'm definitely in support of that. And I think that it is really hard for creatives to set that money line out there and just say, like, I have an expertise, and just because it comes easily to me doesn't mean it comes easily to everyone else. And it's hard for creatives, I think, to understand. Do you find that with, like, talking about the creative brain? But, like, I think creatives assume everyone else can already do what they do or something.
They do. And just to go back to this group of 200 designers I recently addressed at the IDS conference, I was talking about the nature of a creative brain and the offshoot of it. And that in order for you to do what you do so well, designing, that comes with a certain sensitivity. It's a sensitivity to your environment. It's an ability to see what's not there. Without that, you wouldn't be able to even think about having a business, because you would be able to design. But that same sensitivity also has some other ramifications. So you're more sensitive to certain impulses and certain, not even impulses, currents, certain currents out there. So things like stress, overwhelm, those are deadly for people like us. They affect us more and differently than a civilian. So I did this 7-question quiz with these 200 designers to help them identify, are you a creative? Are you a creative HSP, meaning highly sensitive person? Or are you a creative empath, which is a more extreme level of that reactivity or perceptivity? Because, Becca, when I say sensitive, I don't mean you cry easily. You might, but that's not the sensitivity I'm talking about. I mean, it's a reactivity. It's like your radar is just a little more heightened.
Okay.
So when I did this test and I said, okay, if you have this many answers, you're this many answers, you're that. I said, raise your hand if you posted just only as a creative. No hands went up. Raise your hand if you tested as a creative / HSP, highly sensitive person. About 6% of the room raised their hands. And I said, okay, raise your hand if you tested as creative empath, which is the most extreme form of that sensitivity or reactivity. The entire rest of the room, the other 94% of the room, raised their hands. They looked around at each other and they smiled and they laughed, and I giggled. I said, hello, my lovelies, because they didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
So they're trying to run and structure a business, but ignoring their constitution, who and what they are. And there are certain built-in stresses in any business, not just our industry, but our industry has several built-in stresses, client service being one of them, several built-in stresses in ours. So I think that the reason designers, there's a long-winded answer for you, but the reason I think designers have a hard time with raising rates, they paralyze themselves with what will somebody else's reaction be, because they're so attuned to everybody's reaction, as opposed to being immune to reactions on that. I know my rate, I know my value, I know my worth. If you're the right client for me, I would just love the honor of designing for you. But if you're not the right client for me, that's okay too. And I wish you the very best in your project. And you let the train pull out of the station so that the right train can pull in.
Yeah.
And I say that to you with the caveat of how you and I started our chat just a short while ago. I'm not a silver spooner. I didn't have Big Daddy bankrolling everything. I had to fly and be successful. But I knew that if I kept undercutting pricing, I knew I'd never launch a business that could support our family.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that time and time again with the designers who come to me for coaching. When their numbers aren't working, there are several things that are off for them, but their fees are one of them for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I just love everything that we've chatted about, and I'm sure the listeners do too. We're recording this in the fall, but I know this episode will come out just after the new year. So happy new year. And you have an academy that's coming up in February. So why don't you tell people who would love to get more from you how they can sign up for that?
Sure. Yeah. So we have a small group academy. It's a 6-month academy. It's online and it's 6 months for a reason. I don't believe in these 12-month programs. I don't want to make you a professional student and I don't want you to be dependent on me. I want to build your muscle so that you are saying, Don, I've got this. I'm ready to fly. So I have a 6-month academy. It's a combination of recorded videos, but there are live twice monthly coachings in a small group with me as well. And every month we lean into the 3 pillars that are, to me, the only pillars that you need to lean into to have a gorgeous, client-centric, profit-proud business. And that's what I want everyone to have, a profit-proud business.
Like that.
So those 3 pillars are the pillar of sales and marketing, the pillars of the business of your business. That's contracts. That's your scope of work. Because PS, your scope of work is actually a sales tool. Yes, it is. Operations and systemization. That's all part of the business engine, the business of the business. And then every month we lean just a smidge, but just the right amount of smidge into fantastic mindset hacks that work brilliantly for people like us with that creative brain and that reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of this program that I have designers coming to me who either say, Don, I've never billed more than $5,000 a year. And then in month 3 with me, they put out a contract for $18,000. And then I also have designers coming to me saying, 1 year I billed $300,000. The next year I billed $500,000. I'm so uneven. What do I do? This last round, wonderful designer, Michelle, she booked $500,000 in business month 2 or 3 and working with me between 2 projects. And that was in April of this past year. So she totally blew past her numbers. So I want to see people making the kind of numbers that they want to make. And because of the way I teach and the way I've structured this program, it's as appropriate for people who are in that first 9-year trajectory, for a 7-year trajectory of growth, and as appropriate for designers who are in their 20 plus years, whose numbers, AKA earnings, profit, are just not where they need them to be or want them to be. So I'm thrilled at what we see happening for the design community. I love our industry and I want to see designers operating as powerful CEOs, female CEOs, male CEOs, but not undercutting the value of what they are, the value of what they do, because they're selling a creative service. Do you have to thread a needle to monetize creativity? You better believe you do need to. But that's why I think it's great to learn from somebody who's like you and who understands your constitution as well. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a little, I should probably be able to say that shorter, but I get excited when I talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So we'll definitely have a link for people to go to your website to sign up for it.
Sure. In fact, if you want to get onto a wait list or to get onto the mailing list to get information on this, just go to, it's long, sorry about this, successfuldesignbizacademy.com/join now.
Okay.
And don't panic. Join now just means get onto the wait list for information about it. So it's successfuldesignbiz, academy.com/join now.
Perfect. We'll put a hyperlink to that so people can just get that.
Even better.
Yeah. That'll be easy. And how can they connect with you on socials? Are you on Instagram?
Yes. If you want my coaching brand, you'd go to decorating.genius. And if you want to just get inspired with some beautiful luxury design, you can go to @IDH Designs, @I like impeccable D like designed H like homes at IDH Designs. And that's our Instagram for our luxury design company. Either way, I'd love to see you there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Donna, for coming on today. It's been such a great chat. I feel like we kind of touched the tip of the iceberg with so many topics. There's definitely room for more. So you're welcome to come back anytime and we can discuss more great things for the creative brain.
Sounds great. I love it. You are wonderful and I love spending time with you. Thanks so much for having me.
So if you'd like to reach out to Donna, we have her contact in the show notes. And don't forget that we have some great free content for you in our links. We have some downloads, we have roadmaps, we've got also My Design Mentor. If you are just getting into coaching, and My Design Mentor is kind of like the first step to coaching. It's very approachable, it's affordable, and really is just a great starting place to get your business running or to get your career switched over to interior design or just talk with a mentor about interior design industry. So I'd love to see you in there, My Design Mentor, and links are in the show notes. That's all I have for you this week. Next week, we'll have another great episode. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.